which I think he's already doing now. And then Brenda or Paul announces records attendance at the meeting. We don't have a quorum right now. We already know that. Hopefully at noon that will happen. That means I will convene the meeting right now. I will ask for adjustments to the agenda announcements from MPC members. Any adjustments to the agenda out there?
And Counselor, I'll just repeat again, as far as adjustments to the agenda, I hope everybody saw the revised agenda I sent out 2 days ago and is using that to guide their meeting today.
Right. And I'm aware of that. I'm sure everybody else is now. Okay. Any MPC members have any announcements for the committee? Very quiet. I will move on to the comments from the audience. And let's see. Something nice. Do I have to read something on this? I don't have it.
Counselor, it's not necessary to read anything.
Okay.
That note on the agenda is there for guests, but right now at this time I see only invited members, staff, and presenters. So I don't believe we'll have any comments from the public, and nobody is raising their hand.
Yeah, I didn't see that anywhere here. Okay. I'll ask anybody wishing to comment, raise their Zoom virtual hand. There's one person. No hands, so I can move on.
Yes.
Does anybody else wish to speak? All right, I'll move on to the next agenda item, Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO issues. And the first item is Safe Routes to School update.
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I can help and assist. I'm going to turn this over very quickly. We have, I believe, 4 guest presenters here today, and I believe they're all here. There is also a slideshow that they're going to present with their presentation. So I'm not sure who. I think maybe Sarah wants to take the lead, maybe. But go ahead, Sarah.
All right. Hi there. Thank you all so much for having us today, and a huge thank you for the funding over the years that has allowed this program to exist in such a robust form. Again, hold on one second. I'm just going to ask our rowdy office meeting to move on. Hold on one second.
And maybe during this time, I get asked to be able to share our presentation. It's disabled.
Okay, sorry about that. Our team is all here for our regular meeting, and we all like each other. Okay, so my name is Sarah Mazie. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator for Eugene School District 4J, and we are a part of the regional Eugene Springfield team. And the Safe Routes to School program, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a program that makes it easier, safer, more efficient, and more fun for students to use active and shared transportation like walking, biking, scooting, busing, carpooling for their school commute. And there are a lot of ways that we go about accomplishing this goal, and we aren't going to be able to cover all of them today, but we really hope that we can just give you a good snapshot of our work as a whole, some of the changes over the last year or so to our program, and then some of the positive ripples that this program creates. So, yep, slide 2, please. You can see here all of our district level coordinators. I'm in 4J again. Rachel is in Bethel. Jack is in Springfield School District. And then a change fairly recently is that we used to have 3 half-time positions supporting the program, and we merged those into 1 full-time position that we hope will be more sustainable. And Brad Albee, we're really fortunate to have him as our regional coordinator supporting the all 3 school districts. And there's a lot that you're going to hear about today that really is only possible at the level that we're doing it because we have this extra full-time support person.
Mr. Albee talked to me when you were away, and he wants to be part of the presentation. So just letting you know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Brad, actually, can you mute yourself? If you mute yourself, I think we'll hear less of the office noise. Thanks.
Sure.
Um, so we also are really pleased that we have our first interns now since pre-COVID times, and they are helping us work on evaluation, especially as it regards to equity, as well as engaging the many, many students that we are working with and the huge amount of programming we're doing. All right, next slide, please. So you're probably familiar with various renditions of E's as they're used in different parts of the transportation world regularly, and safe routes to school in our program locally, as well as nationally. We focus on the 6 E's, and we are going to dive into some of these today in more depth. We don't have time really to get into all of them, but I will just point out that engagement fairly recently replaced enforcement as one of the E's. We followed the lead of many other safe routes schools around the country. And we're happy that we're getting back to pre-COVID levels of engagement now, as well as really digging in with some older students in ways that we haven't before, working with middle school and high school students directly as stakeholders. And also deepening the relationships with some community partners that lets us reach some underserved and historically marginalized populations, something that it takes time to build those relationships and to build the programs. And we're getting to the place where we're really seeing the fruits of our labors and of those wonderful relationships. All right, next slide, please. Our goal around equity, as stated in our strategic plan, is to center equity in all safe routes to school activities with particular attention to ensuring that outcomes are fair and increase safety and health for students who are in historically marginalized and underserved populations. And the equity in a transportation context and a safe routes to school context in particular is really crucial because it's not only about students' mobility, their physical health, their mental health, their sense of safety in public spaces, but it's also just about them getting to school, and their ability to access education. So this is huge here. Next slide, please. And I will just wrap up my piece by sharing that in terms of engineering and improving infrastructure around the schools, we're very grateful to have such positive relationships and so much collaboration with our jurisdictional partners at the cities of Springfield and Eugene and Coburg, as well as Lane County. And we also do work closely with our facilities departments and these partners to identify the needs, to engage stakeholders, and then to find appropriate solutions for infrastructure problems. And there are different capacities that each of our jurisdictions have to actually construct infrastructure improvements, but we're very lucky that our state has funding that we've all been able to access through a direct safe routes to school grants. And you can see on the slide here the list of some of the schools that have received funding. Well, the schools don't receive the funding, but have received infrastructure improvements nearby thanks to that state funding. And Bethel has received a planning grant. And some of those improvements are in crossings, improved crossings, flashing school zone signs, separated space for students to walk or bike. That will be coming soon. So with that, I am going to pass it on to Rachel, our next speaker.
Hi, I'm Rachel Toshin, and I'm the Bethel Safe Routes to School Coordinator. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the next E, education. And in our education programs, we're always looking to continuously expand and innovate and see what kind of curriculum we can get to our students. And so some of that includes advisory curriculum for our middle school students, providing the organ-friendly driver training for our district bus drivers, as well as piloting a bike safety community ride class for one of our high schools. And so this is in addition to our traditionally offered classes of bike safety education and pedestrian safety. So that is what I'm going to talk to you about next. So bike safety education. So next slide, please. And so our bike safety education program is a 2-week on-bike class that teaches students the rules of the road and to either ride safely with or alongside vehicular traffic, depending on the infrastructure present around schools. And so this program is a really great asset for our schools because this is providing perhaps the only time that these students are going to get this formalized curriculum of the rules of the road, which they may not get later on. However, due to the pandemic, we did face a few setbacks in terms of our instructor pool. And so this year, it's been really great to be back on track and getting bike safety into all our eligible schools. And so they have either had or are scheduled to have bike safety this year. So we are able to finally meet that goal in our strategic plan that we were on set to meet before the pandemic, but that kind of derailed a little bit. So it's very exciting to actually meet it this year. And additionally, we have also in Springfield purchased a new trailer so that the bike fleet can be expanded. And then in Bethel and 4J, we also purchased some new bikes to replace ones that were needing more maintenance. And so now we're going to talk next about pedestrian safety. And so our pedestrian safety teaches students to be safe and aware pedestrians, really emphasizing this set of phrases really is like the core of the curriculum. So stop every time at the edge of the street, use your head before your feet, make sure you hear every sound, look left, look right, look all around. And so this kind of takes the center of the class. And so we have a 2-day instructional period. So the first day is that in-class portion where we kind of go over that rhyme and teach students what actions they need to do to be safe when they're in the community. And then the second day is an actual community walk where they actually put these skills into practice. And depending on the conditions and the students, we might have them do pair crossings, we might have them do individual crossings, just depending on the level they're at.
I have
And
a
so 4J, we have the PE teachers have taken on that role of instructing students, so they're able to teach all grade levels. And so we're seeing thousands of students in 4J getting that pedestrian safety education. And we support that by providing them curriculum, training, and materials. In Bethel, we're still working with the River House and myself to provide this education program. And so this past year, we were actually able to get all the second graders pedestrian safety, and we're on track to have 6 of 7 schools. Yes.
Pedestrians on the streets when there's no sidewalks, are they taught to walk facing the traffic?
Yes.
Okay, that's a big deal. And I see it all the time. They don't do that. And it bothers me. There's been 2 fatalities on 30th Avenue because they weren't doing that. So I want to emphasize that. So thank you.
All right. Well, and so that is part of the curriculum, especially in the areas around the schools where there's not enough sidewalks. We do specifically, as part of the community walk, try to give them that exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so wrapping up with that section, we are going to move on to Jack to talk more about our in-school Learn to Rides.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Blashishin, and I'm the Springfield Safe Routes to School coordinator. Learn to Rides are a relatively recent program to our educational programs. This is where we teach kindergarteners and first graders how to ride a bike in PE class over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. In 4J in Springfield, we've taught nearly 1,500 students how to ride a bike and have increased the skill level of hundreds of others so that they're that much closer to pedaling. We partner with adaptive PE programs in all of our districts to serve special education students. We also offer this programming to summer schools and to the migrant education program. We accomplish all of this with support from volunteers and our regional coordinator, Brad Albee. This is a very popular program. Our relationship with schools and volunteers has benefited immensely from this, and it enables us to do a lot more programming in schools because of the relationship building that comes with this class. Next slide, please. We've also got encouragement programming. So besides our educational programming, which has a clear learning objective for students, we have this set of activities that are intended to build community, a safe routes to school presence in school districts, and to generate behavior change. The goal of these encouragement activities is to provide organized opportunities for students to actually walk and roll to school more often or get them excited to do so. Next slide. So we host walk and roll to school days every year in October and May, and Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day in November. Several years ago, students in Marin County, California, launched Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day to honor this civil rights hero, and the event is taken off nationally as well as here in our region. 4J School District supported walk and roll or Ruby Bridges events in 28 schools, with many of them participating in both events. Springfield had all 12 elementary schools participate in Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day for the first time this year, and Bethel School District had all of their schools at the K through 12 level participating in Ruby Bridges events, demonstrating these school districts' dedication to safe routes to school and their commitment to racial equity. This all represents a dramatic increase in participation in encouragement events over all previous years. Moving on to our bike rodeos on the next slide. So bike rodeos are intended to be fun, one-off after-school bike parties. They give us a chance to teach kids of all ages some bike handling skills, teach them how to ride a bike if they don't know how, and get them excited about bikes all in one event. We often also give away helmets, lights, and reflective materials, or make bike-powered smoothies using our bicycle blenders. In Springfield, we tend to schedule these at times when there's already an event happening at the school, so we have a built-in audience, including parents, who are excited to meet the person who taught their kid how to ride a bike. 4J partners with the BEST after-school program, which serves the highest needs students to hold 6 to 8 bike rodeos per year. This is an incredibly popular event. There's a lot of learning and joy at these events. Next is our walking school buses and bike bus. We're happy to support walking school buses at various schools around the region. A walking school bus is a chaperoned walking group to or from school, as seen in the photo. This is at Two Rivers Dos Rios Elementary School in Springfield. Bike buses are the same thing, but on bikes. This is a really classic encouragement program to address parents' concerns about safety when letting their children walk or bike to school alone. Last year, the legislature passed a transportation funding bill, House Bill 3014, allowing school districts to meet students' transportation needs by providing paid staff to lead walking school buses and bike buses. Next, we have our community events. In the past year, we launched a partnership with Plaza de Nuestra Comunidad, formerly known as Centro Latino and Huerto de la Familia, as well as Cascadia Mobility and Shift Community Cycles, to provide bike events for the Latina community. The intention of these events was to elevate bike opportunities and bike joy within the Latina community. These events were really special in the sense that families came together for short group rides to learn how to ride a bike, get their bikes repaired, learn about bike share, enjoy the food and community, all with childcare provided. We held 2 of these events last year and are planning 3 more next year. Next is our community learned rides. So several times per year in a variety of different locations throughout the region, we and our partners host free all ages community learn to ride events. These events are highly attended by families, community members, and volunteers. 2 events are hosted at 4J, one in Bethel and the other in Springfield. This provides opportunities in each of the communities we serve, and we publicize all of them in each of the districts and throughout the community. Again, our partnerships are essential in our ability to throw these large community events and we are very, very thankful to work so effectively with our partners. I'll also add before I finish that we're always looking for volunteers to assist with these events. So here's my pitch to you. There's no experience necessary. We will train you on site. You don't have to stay for the entire event, but you'll probably want to. And it's a very rewarding way to spend your time with lots of smiles and lifelong memories being made. So if you are interested, please let us know and we'll send you all of our upcoming events. Next up is our regional coordinator, Brad Albee, to talk about our partnerships. Oh, Brad, you're muted.
There we go. Thank you, Jack. I'm Brad Albee. I'm the new regional coordinator for Safe Routes to Schools. In this position, I'm fortunate to work closely with each member of the Safe Routes team, and I work in all 3 of the school districts. The robust level that Safe Routes to School now operates at allows all the activities we're describing in this presentation, and this is thanks to all the great partnerships we have, including, of course, the MPO members and each one of our school districts. As well as other nonprofit partners, we work with BEST, up at the top right-hand corner of the screen, Cascadia Mobility, and our friends at Shift Community Cycles. And we get support from our educational foundations of each one of the 3 school districts. They're in the middle there. And an example of how one of the foundations helps us is we've purchased bicycles and helmets for our Learn the Ride programs and our bike rodeos. We've replaced stolen bikes through these foundations and are purchasing U-locks to prevent bike thefts at our schools. The Safe Route to School team supports and regularly attends LITAC meetings, which is a youth transportation advisory group, originally started by LCOG. And we serve on the committees down at the bottom right, Lane Act, the Active Transportation Committee of Eugene, the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee for Springfield, Vision Zero, TOAC, and Safe Lane, all to provide the Safe Routes to Schools perspective and to remain apprised of what's happening in the field locally. In addition, we have begun a deeper relationship with our public health. And we absolutely love to give away bicycles. Any opportunity to give away a bicycle, the Safe Routes team is there. During the year, Safe Routes helps facilitate numerous bike rodeo or bike giveaways with organizations in our community. We love to help get bikes in the hands of all of our young students. In the spring, we work with an organization called Free Bikes for Kids, and they have a large-scale bike giveaway. This organization works year-round to acquire the bicycles and then gives in the neighborhood of about 300 bicycles away at this event in the spring. We closely work with a new program from our friends at Shift Community Cycles called Shift Kids. This program receives donations from the community. And for each $200 that they receive, they deliver a refurbished bicycle, a helmet, a lock, and lights. We assist this program by reaching out to our students at the Learn to Rides, the bike safety education classes, and talking to our schools to find out who needs the bikes. And then we pick the bikes up at Shift, and we make the connection with the parents and make sure they get the bikes in their hands. In addition, each program coordinator also finds a variety of different ways to give bikes away throughout the year. We also run free bike repair events. Among the barriers the kids face in getting to school safely without being driven in a car is that there's a lack of safe infrastructure along their route, or they have a bike that simply there's something wrong with it and it's just not safe to ride. So In our work, we address all of these barriers. And one way is by doing these free bike repair events at secondary schools. In the picture of this event on the screen, we hosted this event at Hamlin Middle School in December. We were joined by the students of the LITAC, the Lane Youth Transportation Advisory Council, and Shift Community Cycle was hired to do the repairs. And the community loves us. This is a very happy picture for us, but the photo on the left is Jack and I tabling event at Food for Lane County. And although there's sun in the picture, it was a very cold night in November. There was a very large crowd. We shared lots of our resources about getting to school and around town safely by biking or walking. We also shared about bike repair, pop-up events that we were coming up for students to get their bikes worked on free of charge. The other photo on the right is after 4J had a challenging theft issue. One of the trailers got broke into, several bikes were taken, and more were damaged. We worked with the Eugene Educational Foundation, and we set up a fundraiser to replace that equipment. The community really supported us with nearly $2,000 in donations. And in this picture, Sarah is accepting a donation of $5,000 from Eugene Electric Bikes. As you can see, the Safe Routes team is as busy as ever. The classes we teach, the projects, both the ones we complete and the ones we plan for in the future, the equipment with all that we move around every day, the meetings that we have with school leaders and city leaders and county leaders, and the planning we can coordinate with our partners is how we work every day to keep our children safe and our community safe. On a personal note, I'd like to tell you it's a great feeling to go from 1 minute of being at a meeting with city transportation professionals talking about some large scale infrastructure project, and then the next thing I go to is a kindergarten class and I'm teaching a young person how to ride a bicycle. And then I finish the afternoon by presenting to an elementary school about the safety in their parking lot at a arrival and dismissal time. It really makes for a fascinating day, and it's great work. In closing, we'd like to thank each MPO member for the opportunity to share what we've been working on. And I'd like to thank each of my team members for their passion and dedication to this important work. With that, we can answer any questions you might have.
My hand up. I'm curious why people steal bicycles when they're free all over. Why is that? That's just a comment. Thank you.
I think there's a lot of people asking that question right now and working on trying to figure that out. I agree with you.
I'll put my hand down.
I got a question from Lucy.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Lucy Venice, Mayor of Eugene, and I realized that you were pushed up early in the agenda in order to accommodate my schedule, and then I was able to fortunately break free early enough to hear the presentation, which I just want to thank you all for your work. I mean, it's such serious work. In all ways, the walk to school, the safety, the learning how to cross the street, the learning how to ride a bike, and you all do it with such joy and such appreciation for, we want kids to learn and be happy and be safe. And so I just sort of appreciated the whole spirit of your presentation, all the work you do, and then even your closing comments about sitting in a big, serious, hard think kind of meeting and then moving over to a kindergarten class. So I just wanted to thank you for the presentation and thank you for just, being able to kind of celebrate wonderful work. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
I momentarily lost my screen.
Oh, yeah. David had his hand up.
Oh, hey, thank you all. Yeah, Brad, great work. I really enjoyed hearing your enthusiasm about teaching kids. And I just have one of those curiosity questions that any old parent might have. Now that you're seeing a lot of these balance bikes coming into play where kids are actually getting on bikes, it looks like sooner in age. Are you noticing that kids are actually learning to ride a bike at a younger age than they've been before in previous generations?
This is a
Go ahead, Sarah, if you want to take that.
Sure. We actually, our entire Learn to Ride program is built around the balance bikes. We have fleets, we have multiple fleets of bikes with no pedals. And then once kids are good at balancing, we transition them to pedals. One of our very dedicated volunteers, he did some research and found that there's actually been academic studies on it that have found that kids learn almost 2 years earlier with balance bikes versus the training wheel model. So we're all in on the balance bikes, and it definitely helps kids learn earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to know because, I got 3, 4-year-old grandkids and they're already riding bikes, into, early threes, which is, I thought maybe I was just had special kids, but you're right. They had balance bikes.
That's awesome though.
So thanks for your work. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Vidal?
Yes. Can everyone hear me here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And an awesome presentation. I love that. I actually love to see the young ones improve the way that they do as they grow up, as they move on, through grade school, high school, and so forth. It's awesome work to all of that you've done. And also special thank you to Sarah again for helping us out with the OTC, giving them a presentation around at least through some of the corridors that we have here in Eugene, as far as what you can experience in riding a bike. My question to you is, obviously you've gone through quite a bit of students throughout the years, et cetera, as far as learning stuff from the Safe Routes to School and so forth. Any idea, any thoughts, or anything around some of these students actually coming back to you to contribute to the program in some form or fashion as a result of what they've learned, what they've experienced, and so forth? And I know it's kind of hard to quantify a number in terms of the impact that you've done to the community, but any of the students come back to you like maybe 3-4 years later and say, hey, I want to be part of this, or I want to contribute in one form or fashion? Any thought around that?
I mean, I'll just say that to me, they're contributing when I hear that they're actually using active or shared transportation. And we do have a lot of students who, will come to a school to do a bike rodeo, and the kids will say, oh, you taught me to ride a bike in PE. Or, I asked one kid, I said, I remember you from, the bike rodeo years ago or whatever it was. Are you still riding a bike? That's what I do. That's what he told me. I ride my bike. That's my thing. So, and we do also hear from, over the years, we've heard from many of our interns actually, oh yeah, Safe Routes to School was huge for me. Not necessarily actually in Eugene. A lot of them came from other parts of Oregon, but we hear often, Safe Routes to School was big in my town where I grew up, where I remember some of them are from Eugene or Springfield. I remember Safe Routes to School, that I loved the walk and roll to school days. So I don't know if that gets at, I don't know.
I'll add that we have had instructors who teach bicycle safety education with us, who took bicycle safety education 10 years ago or something. We also have PE teachers who took bicycle safety education, have lifelong memories from that. So it leaves a really big impact on people, and they really remember it. In addition, I met a person at the Free Bikes for Kids distribution who's on the board of Free Bikes for Kids, who actually learned how to ride a bike during bicycle safety education when he was 12 years old.
Awesome. Thank you for the work that you all do. Really appreciate that.
And multiple students come to Learn to Ride events because the events are so fun, even though they already know how to ride a bike. They just want to show up and play, right? Yeah.
Are we done with the?
Any other questions?
Okay. Safe Routes to School, were we done? Okay.
I believe we are. Thank you very much for letting us be here today, and we appreciate it very much.
One comment about helmets. I hate helmets. But I think back how many people in the past are no longer with us. They didn't wear helmets. A lot of them. That's all. So do we have a quorum?
Chair, we do have a quorum now. Thank you.
Okay, then we can move on to the next agenda item, is approval of the December 7th, 2023 MPC meeting minutes. Motion, second.
I'm happy to move approval of the minutes.
Any second? Come on, be brave, step up.
I'm happy to second that.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2023. You want to raise your hands or say aye or nay or what? Okay. Make enough noise, I know which one it is. Okay. Up. Everybody else? Is anybody against it? Let's put it that way. I guess it's approved. So I will move on to the next item, which is elections of chair and vice chair for 2024. So
Chair.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm prepared to help with that item.
Okay.
So first want to remind the group that as a matter of the bylaws, the election of the chair and the vice chair is only considered and voted on by the cities of Eugene and Springfield and Lane County. So the members from those three bodies are active on this agenda item. And similarly, the chair and vice chair have to be MPC members from one of those three jurisdictions. Now, it's not required, but the tradition has been that we rotate the positions between those three jurisdictions. And clearly, currently, or in 2023, Springfield Councilor Moe was the chair, and in 2023, Lane County Commissioner Lovell was the vice chair. So if you choose to follow tradition, that would place Lane County in the chair position for 2024 and the city of Eugene in the vice chair position. I will leave it at that for you to discuss, nominate, and elect.
You want to make a motion or have everybody agree with that? How would we do that?
I'm happy to just move that we follow precedent and that the chair be the Commissioner Lovell from Springfield and Lane County, sorry.
Make a good chair. Thank you.
You guys are most gracious.
How about the co-chair now? Within the group.
So I don't want to be self-serving here. I just want to say that I'm willing to serve as the City of Eugene member as vice chair. But I just want to kind of alert everyone to the fact that I will be leaving office in 2025. So I can serve as vice chair, but I would not be in office to serve as chair in 2025.
As I look at how we rotate, you're probably the best candidate.
There you go.
How do the other members feel about this? Actually, you're going to be chair in a minute here, Mr. Lovell, but I guess I finished this. Does everybody agree with that? We okay? Good deal. Got a good chair and vice chair. So do I hand this off to you now, David?
Excellent. Well, I guess we do. Thank you, Chair, for your service, for your attention to detail and your long life commitment as a counselor and a citizen of the best town in Lane County. Appreciate all you do for Springfield and what you've done for the committee. So I appreciate that very much. And Mayor Venice, thank you for doing the last hurrah for us as you leave office. I know sometimes you have a lot of things on your plate in that last year that you want to get accomplished. So I appreciate you adding this to it. So thank you all very much for your kind and gracious consideration. So Paul, thank you again for doing such a great job also of wrangling all these cats together and getting the agenda done. I think you do a super job. So as we got this item 7 completed, let's move on to item number 8, the MPO issues. There's a couple of actions that we're going to have to request, and Brenda's waving me down for something else. Go ahead, Brenda.
Myself. Hi, Chair. Thank you so much. But just so that the record is clean, there was a motion, there was not a second, and we need a vote on the election of the chair and the vice chair.
Oh, look at you catching that. Thank you very much.
We're here to help.
So, former Chair Mo, I think you would probably articulate that as the order would probably happen.
I sort of thought we had voted on that by the reaction of the members. But if we want to go through a motion to elect you as chair and vote on it, that's fine with me. So do we have a second on that? I can second it. Can I second it? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Does anybody object to Mr. Lovell being chair next year?
I'll second the motion.
Oh, thank you. Now, how about the other members? How do you feel?
And Chair Mo, keep in mind that it's just the three of you, yourself, Mayor Venice, and Commissioner Lovell, that are discussing and voting and motioning on this. So it really is the three of you that need to complete this formality.
Yeah, pretty close group. We got a second, and so.
So
My vote's good.
my vote's good. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
Or aye. And do you have to do a second vote for me as vice chair as well?
Correct. So I asked for a motion for Mayor Venice to be vice chair of MPC.
I'd like to make a motion to move that Eugene Mayor Lucy Venice become the vice chair of the Metropolitan Policy Committee.
Do I have a second? I guess I could second it now.
You could second that, yeah.
So I'll second it. And that's up to you. Well, let me finish it. So all in favor? Okay, everybody agrees. So I believe we've done that properly, I hope.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Now we can pass the torch officially and
Sure.
jump into the first 8 item there for those
Commissioner?
2 action letters. Yes, Paul.
I'm sorry, but I was going to interrupt for what Brenda caught, and then there is still the second part of number 7, which is appointing the OMPOC members for 2024. The Oregon MPO Consortium members from MPC serve on the statewide Oregon MPO Consortium. Your 2023 representatives to OMPOC have been Councilor Mo and LTD board member Susan Cox. I understand that Councilor Mo is willing and available to continue serving on OMPOC. And indeed, I want to note that the next OMPOC meeting is a week from tomorrow on February 9th. And OMPOC will be having its elections for its officers for 2024. OMPOC rotates through the MPOs alphabetically, and it happens to be our turn to be chair. So we anticipate Councilor Mo being nominated to be chair of OMPOC this year. If you do so move to have Councilor Mo continue to serve as your OMPOC member, then you would also need to nominate and appoint a second member.
All right. That sounds good. I would support that and so move that Councilor Mo become our OMPOC member and our representative for this area. And I would be looking to see if Ms. Cox would be also willing to serve again, or if we should look for another person who is willing to step up.
Chair, if I may, I would just say that I do think it's valuable to have LTD represented on OMPOC. So I'd be very happy to see Susan Cox do it again, assuming that she's a continuing member of this body, assuming she is.
Thank you. Good input. Is she on this call, by the way? I'm not seeing her on the call.
Not here. She's not on the call today.
So just because she's not here, we can't make her accept the position. That doesn't work that way in this organization. What's up with that?
We'll certainly take the information back to her and have her reach, the next committee meeting.
So would it be possible if we make a motion for Councilor Mo to become our OMPOC representative going forward and then table the second member for the next meeting?
I'll second that.
That's certainly possible. It's up to you how you'd like to proceed. I was trying to also ask Tom Schwetz and haven't had a response in the past 20 minutes whether he had any indication from Susan Cox about her willingness to continue to serve. But we can certainly defer that if you wish.
Okay, well, in the interest of time and moving forward, I would look for a motion to put Councilor Mo as our MPOC representative and defer our second nomination for our next meeting.
And I can try to text her while we're continuing on, if that's helpful.
Sure, we could revisit this at that meeting for sure. All right, do we need to make a vote for Councilor Mo to be our representative again, or because he's already in place, will you do that again? We can move forward. Brendan, do you have any input on that?
Just so that it's clear, make a new motion because this is for 2024.
Okay. And I'm looking for a motion to put Councilor Mo as our MPOC representative for 2024. Anyone want to make so motion?
I so move.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. A second, please. Now that would be between us three, right? Are we still doing that? That's us three. I would second that.
Yeah, you may have to do that. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I'm uncomfortable doing that, but
Yeah, yeah, wouldn't that be fun? All right, all those in favor indicate aye or a thumbs up. All right, so moved. Councilor Mo, thank you for your service for 24 year 25. Thank you. And we'll continue to see if we can get Ms. Cox on the phone or at least table that until the next meeting. All right, so I believe now we are able to move to item 8 on the MPO issues. And item 8B looks like the Lane County Raise Grant Letter of Support that I believe that, is that Cassidy Mills doing that, Paul, or is that you giving us the information on that?
That is simply me introducing Cassidy, so you are correct, Commissioner.
Okay, good deal. If you so would, that'd be great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cassidy Mills. I am the Interim Transportation Planning Supervisor for Lane County. And Paul, with your permission, I'm going to share screen. And so folks, please let me know if you're able to see my current presentation. Can you please let me know if you can see my screen?
Yeah.
That's a no?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Let's try that again.
That looks like it's doing well.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, my name is Cassidy Mills, and today I am joined by my colleague, Senior Transportation Planner, Becky Taylor, and we are excited to speak with you about the 30th Avenue Active Transportation Corridor Plan, for which we are pursuing funding via the RAISE Grant Program in partnership with the City of Eugene. Currently, the physical makeup of 30th Avenue greatly restricts access by any non-vehicle transportation. It also has high-risk features and related crashes for people traveling in automobiles. Lane County has been working with the community and regional partners for many years on this project to address these high-risk features. In 2018, Lane County was awarded MPO funding for a planning effort to develop a design concept. After several community workshops, a preferred design concept was developed and approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2022. Then we were again awarded MPO funding to advance the design from concept to construction ready. However, we do not have construction funding secured yet. The Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, also known as the RAISE Grant Program, focuses primarily on safety and connectivity. As such, we believe we are well positioned to pursue funding via the RAISE Grant Program to construct this corridor plan. And today, we are asking the MPC for a letter of support. The construction estimate is approximately $15 million. East 30th Avenue has a unique land use context compared to most rural county roads. It's outside, but very close to the urban growth boundaries of Eugene and Springfield. In addition to providing primary access to Lane Community College, there are numerous parklands in the area, and it's a key connection not only between the city of Eugene and Springfield, but to I-5. You may also notice that the western portion of 30th Avenue is under county jurisdiction, while the eastern portion is under county jurisdiction and the western portion is under the City of Eugene's jurisdiction. The focus of this project demonstrates the commitment of both Lane County and the city to implement safety improvements on East 30th Avenue. The project focus includes the section of 30th Avenue under the City of Eugene's jurisdiction, spanning from Agate Street to Spring Boulevard, and the portion of 30th Avenue under the county's jurisdiction, which spans from Spring Boulevard to the Eldon Schaefer Drive intersection. Throughout this planning process, we have coordinated closely with Eugene to make recommendations for the connection to the existing sidewalk at Agate, so we're really excited to be partnering in pursuit of construction funding. Planning efforts also included coordination with the Oregon Department of Transportation for making connections to McVeigh Highway and beyond. And we also met with Lane Transit District to coordinate on pedestrian safety improvements to support their existing bus stops along 30th Avenue, and with Lane Community College enable walking and biking as a transportation options for students and faculty. So the design focus is primarily on fixing an existing safety problem. East 30th Avenue from Spring Boulevard to Eldon Schaefer Drive has had more deaths and serious injuries involving people walking and biking than any other road under Lane County's jurisdiction. And I believe Councillor Moe addressed this earlier in today's meeting. There are also safety and operational issues at 3 intersections under Lane County's jurisdiction. 30th Avenue and Eldon Schaefer Drive, as well as 30th Avenue and Forest Boulevard, and the intersection of 30th Avenue and Bloomberg Road. And by partnering with the city on this grant program, our jurisdictions will have the resources to address the gap in connectivity as the pedestrian infrastructure ends at Agate Street. An additional focus of this design is to reduce crash severity. To improve safety for people walking and biking, the design proposes creating a protected travel space on the south side of East 30th Avenue. To avoid widening the road, the recommendation includes reallocating some of the existing roadway space by narrowing the shoulders on the north side in some places and creating a center median, but keeping the 2 vehicle travel lanes in each direction. In places where the median narrows, we need to look more closely at protections, such as barricades. In places where the median is wider, center turn lanes will be introduced at intersections. And a roundabout is also an inclusion of this design, and that will be recommended. We will be replacing the signalized T intersection of 30th and Eldon Schaefer with this design solution. The intersection here has experienced the most crashes on the portion of 30th Avenue under Lane County's jurisdiction. The left turn lane into the Lane Community College campus builds up queues that extend into the McVeigh Highway 30th Avenue intersection, which contributes to the operational failure of that intersection. The proposed design will replace the existing signalized intersection with a roundabout. This will provide people with more opportunities to make the left turn into LCC. It will minimize conflict points and reduce crash frequency and severity due to lower speeds of travel through the roundabout. Additionally, roundabouts allow for a more continuous flow of traffic compared to red lights, resulting in less vehicle idling and a reduction of carbon emissions. There's been significant public input on this project. At the board meeting, several community members spoke in favor of the project, and we've encountered minimal opposition because we were able to modify the designs to address the most controversial elements of earlier design options. That had included the proposed reduction in number of vehicle travel lanes. We ultimately decided to keep those to support the need for vehicles to safely pass each other up on the up and the downhill stretches of that hill. And so an equitable transportation system supports transportation options that are affordable, sustainable, safe, and accessible to all populations. We recognize that that steep hill does limit 30th Avenue from being an all ages and abilities facility, but improving safety and providing a protected space for people to walk and bike is a step in the direction of working towards an equitable transportation system. This is both a transportation safety and equity project because it focuses on investments that improve safety and access for everyone traveling on 30th Avenue. So I want to thank you all for your time today. And now my colleague Becky and I are available to answer any questions that you may have. And I'll stop sharing screen.
I have my hand up.
Mr. Moe, Counselor.
Yes.
What you got?
One thing, an advantage for 30th Avenue, it's going to be much easier to acquire a wider right-of-way than the other projects we're doing. So that's going to make the project much easier for people. That's all. Now, how do I get my hand down?
You have to say the right curse word. Oh, there you go. You got it. Any other comments or questions? All right, I'm seeing none. Cassidy, thank you for that great presentation. I think just one comment that I had reading the packet, which was very thorough. I'm almost wondering how long it took you guys to get that together, because that's quite extensive and very informative, was the fact that you looked at the statistics of people that supported the project, and you said in the report 67% of the people supported the project, but I would have thought that'd have been more, but the caveat is they didn't like you going down to 1 lanes in either direction. So the 2 lanes thing, I'm just kind of curious, do you have any idea what the percentage of people now are approving the project versus before?
That's a great question. And I want to take a moment to introduce our senior transportation planner, Becky Taylor. She has conducted a breadth of public involvement processes, and so she may be able to speak to the current support for the project. I will share that we have one final grant period that we'll be implementing through the MPO funding that we've received, and so that will enable some finalization of that design concept. And so, Becky, feel free to chime in to speak to public support at this phase. I'm not sure we can hear you, Becky. I'm so sorry.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Hi, Becky.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Cassidy and Chair Lovall. So I think we got a lot of people who were originally against the project comfortable with what was proposed. I think that the biggest demonstration of not having significant opposition is that no one took the time to protest before the Board of County Commissioners at the time of approval. However, I have had communications with at least a handful of people who just think that there's greater need elsewhere and that this maybe isn't the highest priority for them. And those individuals drive the corridor, and their experience is that they don't see a lot of walking and biking. However, it's kind of if you build it, they will come.
Right.
And we're not allocating county resources to construction. Again, we're competing for grant funding, and this particular project, out of all of our projects, we have so many unfunded projects. This project aligns with this grant source criteria the most. This is the one where we think that we can be successful. So that's how most of our projects are prioritized, is we're dependent on this external funding and what do the sponsors expect of a project.
Right, certainly. Well, what I heard you say is that we don't, if we had any other options, we wouldn't really have the funds to do that, even if we wanted to, is what I'm hearing you say. This one fits the criteria more. So it's either this one or nothing, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's correct.
Good. Well, thank you for that input. That's very clear. Anyone else have any questions or comments? All right, the 3 of us, this is an action item that we need to vote on, and the action requested is I'm looking for a motion to approve a letter of support for the Lane County Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant Program letter of support. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilor Moe. We have a motion on the table for a support letter for the RAISE Grant Program letter of support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, Paul, I just have a quick question for you as being the new chair. Who writes that? Is that something that you and I get together on and do?
Chair, I have the draft letter that was in your packet, and all I need to do is now get your name at the bottom since you were elected chair. I will have that sent to you via DocuSign for your signing later today, if that works for you.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. All right. Without any further, thank you, Cassidy. Good job. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Again, good seeing you all. Let's move on to item 8C, which is another letter of support. This is from the Lane Transit District Attain Grant Letter of Support, and I'm not quite sure who the staff presenter is on this, Paul. Who is that?
Commissioner, I believe it's going to be Tom Schwetz.
Okay, Tom, if you're available, take it away at any time.
Good afternoon, MPC members. Tom Schwetz. I work for Lane Transit District. I'm the Director of Mobility Planning and Policy. And today I want to go over with you a grant application we're planning to submit. And this is a little bit different than what Lane County's RAISE grant is. There's actually a funding source called ATTAIN, and that's a federal acronym that stands for Advanced Transportation Technologies and Innovative Deployment. How you get ATTAIN out of that, that's a federal process, but we're applying for that process or in that grant program. And it's really exciting for us as we start to look at broader mobility management as a tool to support the community. This grant, which we're calling the Regional Mobility Enabled Service Hub, is really trying to take some technologies that today don't exist together to help folks in across Lane County, but certainly with respect to both our transit service and services provided by LCOG and others into a way that users can more easily access the whole system and look at ways to access mobility that they need. This technology would, in essence, you think about it from the planning side, it gives us a picture of the services that are available, and we can start to organize and coordinate in ways that we haven't before. But I think more exciting to me is that the users themselves can have an app that can say, I want to go from X to Z. I see that I can walk over and catch a bus, or I might be able to catch a mobility on demand service, or ultimately we'd like to get bike share rolled in there. But this technology would allow the user to actually identify the best way to get where they need to go. I'm excited to talk about the fact that we want to test this. We want to do an application of this technology in the Bethel School District and within those boundaries. And we're going to start with, and we've been working with Bethel School District to have a letter of support from them. And we're going to basically roll this technology out at Willamette High School, in particular for the seniors there. And with the idea that that will improve not just their ability to get to school on time or to other school activities, but actually to access other elements of their lives in a way that is beneficial to them. So we're in the process of again, the ATTAIN grant is going to be submitted later this afternoon. We're asking for your support through the draft letter that you have before you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as to what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Thank you, Tom. Awesome. Appreciate that very much. Anyone have any questions or comments for Tom on this ATTAIN program? Appreciate the comment too about how we got ATTAIN. That tickled my fancy. Thank you there, Tom. Seeing no comments, board members, you've had a chance to read the letter in the packet, I would assume. So I'm looking for a motion to approve a letter of support for the ATTAIN program. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you,
And I'll
Counselor.
second.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have a motion to approve the ATTAIN letter of support presented by LTD staff. And I have a second. All those in favor say aye or signify. Motion passes. I would assume, Paul, that would be another DocuSign event that you would send to me and I would sign?
Right, Commissioner.
Perfect. Love the way you do things, Paul. Love it. All right, let's move right along to item 8D. Lane, this is an action requested as none. This is information and discussion. Lane Transit District System Review Update. And Paul, you have the speaker on that one, I would assume.
Yes, I'm going to introduce Jeremy Carr from LTD, and I'll let him introduce the additional guest speaker. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, FC members. Today, my name is Jeremy Card. I'm a development planner with Lane Transit District. Joining me today is Paul Ludy from Nelson Nygaard and Associates. They're consultants that are helping do the analysis on the LTD system review, which is our comprehensive operations analysis. Today, we're going to provide you a brief introduction of what it is and give you an update of where we're at so far with some of the data that we've gotten and some of the outreach efforts that we're doing. Paul's going to be presenting mostly. I'm available for questions. Feel free to interrupt, raise your hand during the presentation if you need any questions answered, and we'll be happy to answer those the best we can. So I'll hand off to Paul.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. And good afternoon, Chair and MPC members. My name is Paul Ludy with Nelson Nygaard. I am actually based in Portland, but we basically do transit planning all over the country, including here with LTD on the system review. So I'm going to give you probably a 15-minute presentation that gives you an update and background on what it is we've been up to. And when I say we, it's Nelson Nygaard, but also we've been working very closely with LTD staff on the project so far. Paul, would it be okay to share my screen here? Let's see if I can do that.
You should be able to now, yes.
Okay, there we go. And all right, can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so today I think we have an agenda, but we'll just kind of walk through kind of three main elements here of the study that we're working on. So we'll give you a background on the system review. We'll talk a little bit about some of the data that we've compiled so far, some of the market analysis data, but also some of the service analysis that we've done. And then we'll walk through some of the engagement work that we have been doing and some key findings from some of that initial engagement work. So why are we doing a system review? Well, first of all, it's a good idea to do a system review every so many years. I think more importantly right now with COVID, we all know that COVID had a massive and major impact on our lives, but in particular in transit. And so we know that it changed kind of how people are traveling and when they're traveling. So this is a good opportunity. Now that we're officially out of COVID, kind of settled into, I would say, a new normal in terms of ridership. So it's a good opportunity to check in and see how service has changed, how ridership has changed now that we're out of that. The other part of this is to think about some of the staffing shortages that LTD has had. And even though those mandates have been lifted in terms of service mandates, it's been hard for LTD to get back to pre-COVID service levels because of a lack of operators and maintenance staff. And that's not unique to LTD. This is very common and typical across the industry, unfortunately. So where that leaves us is about an 80% pre-pandemic service levels compared to 2019. So when I say pre-pandemic, we're usually thinking about 2019. And so the system review is really LTD's opportunity to build a roadmap for how to build service back after service was reduced, and to then match that service with kind of the changes that have happened coming out of COVID. So the system review, there's kind of four main things here. The first is really to consider what we would consider kind of the market of transit. So thinking about or looking at changes in population and employment, other socioeconomic factors that we know impact transit usage, but also to understand the ridership and the service elements and how to identify ways to help bounce back from some of the impacts coming out of COVID. It's also a great opportunity to check in with the community and to identify how needs and priorities have changed. So we've got a couple of surveys that we've been doing. We've been talking, we'll talk through some of the engagement work that we've been working on as part of this. And then kind of the last major element will be to come back and to say, well, here, based on the data that we have collected and what we've heard from riders in the community, here's some service options, and here are ways to make improvements. It is, I think, important to note that this is not intended to be a major system redesign. It's really LTD's opportunity to kind of identify ways to better align service with how things have changed with the community. So I think that's important to say. This is more of that's where we're calling it a system review. Too fast. So we all like data, probably. We all probably like looking at maps and data. I know we do. It's important, and it's an important part of this. We always like to say that it's very hard to make decisions if you don't have good data. And so we've been looking at kind of 5 different things. Ridership is very important, so we've been looking at that on a very detailed level. We'll show you some just a few snippets of the ridership data that we've done. We've looked at travel patterns also, both from 2019 and 2022. We actually built an online dashboard that we can use. It uses anonymized cell phone data, so we can see how people are traveling. And we can also see how travel patterns have changed over that time period. So it's really important to see, and then we can kind of align that with, well, how does ridership changed in addition to that? Like I said, population and employment data and kind of the market analysis associated with this, and how has that changed coming out of COVID. Also want to focus in on other socioeconomic data. So we know that there are certain populations that tend to use transit more often or more likely to use transit. So we want to make sure that we identify where those populations are at. And then, of course, we want to understand, well, how are things changing in the region, and what's the growth projections, and what are other plans? So we kind of piece all of that data together. We're going to give you just a little overview of some of the work that we've already done. And I think the first big question is kind of, how has the pandemic impacted LTD and ridership? And as you can see, it may be hard to see. This is quite maybe if your screen is small, but essentially what you're looking at on the right side of the screen is just ridership between February 2019 and February of 2023. And, not unlike almost all transit agencies across the country, ridership is down compared to those 2 periods. What we're really more focused on is, how is that different between different routes? And what does that tell us about the service that's out there? Many of the routes have also had to have reductions, again, those service level reductions during COVID. And so some of the key findings here is that, ridership right now is at about 79% of pre-COVID ridership. So it has recovered, but not fully. Some routes, however, have recovered a bit more. So like the MX is closer to, I believe it's like 85%. Some of the other routes, some of the higher ridership routes, like the 11 and the 17 in Springfield, or the 41 in Bethel and West Eugene, those have recovered a little bit more. And so they're closer to pre-COVID ridership. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at those routes that maybe haven't recovered as much, and why have they not recovered? So we're kind of getting into that level of detail on each of the routes. And this is kind of a system view of all of the routes, but we're doing this individually. So looking at each individual route. This is also another map that shows how ridership has changed. These are total numbers. So as you can see, ridership, of course, has dropped across the region. That's not really what that's not surprising. One of the things we are interested in looking at, where has ridership not changed as much? And also, this is another map we'll be producing, but what is the percentage change of some of these, of the ridership impact? So this is kind of some of the work that we've been doing in terms of the system-wide ridership. And you can see here, this map shows, well, one thing we did do is take out Eugene Station and Springfield Station, because those are very large bubbles. But essentially what this is, the bigger the bubble, it means more ridership activity at that individual stop. This is from 2023. And so you can just get a sense of where ridership and where people are using the system. And so we can compare, again, this at the stop level between 2019 and 2023 to see how that's changed. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is to use that same ridership data and overlay that on top of our demographic information. So this is what we call a transit propensity map. This focuses on kind of as a combination of different demographic factors these are folks that are more likely to use transit. So it's youth, low income, people without access to a vehicle, and people of color. So we combine that into a single map, overlay that with ridership, and we see, is where we would expect to see ridership, is that where we actually are seeing ridership? And if not, why not? So again, this is kind of the data piece of what we're working on. The other piece of this is the engagement. So we can't come in and just with the data and make decisions. We have to be able to listen to the community and understand, again, how priorities have changed and how what needs the community wants, and riders in particular. So we've done a number of things related to that. So it's kind of a multi-phase process. We're in kind of phase 1 right now, where we're looking at both users, transit riders and non-transit riders. So we've got an onboard survey. Maybe if you ride the bus, you might have seen surveyors out on the bus. This was last November. We are also doing a community survey, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But we're doing a whole series of different things to get feedback from the community and from riders. Some of the more focused outreach that we're doing is talking to drivers. Drivers are the eyes and ears of the system, and so what specific things might they be hearing from passengers? So that's really important, and we'll be doing that at several points throughout the project. We've been doing notifications to get people to a community survey, and I'll show you that in a future slide. But we've done notifications on the UMO app, so people who are using that to navigate or to pay. We've got social media posts that have gone out through LTD's social media channels. We also have a pretty long list of contacts throughout the region of community-based organizations, nonprofits, representatives from the school district. So it was great to hear that presentation from Safe Routes to School. So it all kind of fits together. Lots of different ways of engaging with the community as much as we can. Some other kind of targeted outreach that we've done is focus group, or will be doing actually, is a focus group in Spanish. So these are riders that tend to not, we tend to not hear from them otherwise. So we're actually doing a focus group that will specifically target people who are riding transit. And so we're doing that actually on February 8th. We're also this week, actually right now, we've got a couple folks out there doing some intercept surveys, again, kind of trying to get people to this community survey that I'll talk about in just a minute. We've also got a lot of materials that we can share. So one of the things that we will kind of be, we've been asking other partners, other regional partners, the CBOs and nonprofits to help spread the word. So we've got a website that has been built just for this project. It's ltdsystemreview.org. We've got a quarter-page flyer that we are using to hand out, mostly to get people to that survey, but also that gives them, access to the website. There have been posters placed in the buses. We have as well as at Eugene Station. I think at Springfield Station as well. There's a Windmaster poster, which is kind of a big stand-up poster that can go outside and be placed in different locations. And all of the materials we produce has been in English and Spanish. The project website that we've set up, this is just more of an informational location right now. So, but eventually it will have links to some of the project documents that we've been working on so far. This is the community survey that we have built. Really what this is all about is kind of forcing people to make decisions. It's a cost-constrained survey. And so we've given them a series of different potential improvements, and we've given them a budget. And basically asking them to tell us what you would spend this budget on. We recognize that it's not real money, but what it does for us is it tells us, it makes people make those kind of hard decisions. If we were to just say, well, what do you want? What kind of service would you like? We don't get a sense of priority because people might say, I want it all. So this is our opportunity to basically say, to get at those needs and those priorities. So we've got about 580 surveys so far. It's going to be open through this month, so until March 1st. And if you're sitting at your computer, you could scan either the English or Spanish version, and you go directly to the survey, and you can kind of check that out. but it's also at ltdsystemreviewsurvey.org. Some of the early findings from this survey, again, we're hoping to get maybe as many as 1,000 responses. So I would say we've got a very strong foundation in terms of the results that we're getting back so far. But some of the top priorities so far, interestingly, are kind of investing in bus stops. But then combined with that is frequency improvements. So frequency just in general, weekday frequency in more corridors. People like frequency. It gives them the ability to make decisions, to change their mind. But also restoring MX service back to 10-minute frequency. So those are kind of the top priorities. We're kind of interested in this one in terms of investing in bus stops. It could be related to improved amenities at the stops, but it could also be related to, the desire for more frequent and better, higher quality service too. So, but we gave them a list of different options, and this is kind of some of the early findings that we've heard so far. The other part of this is, so that was more of a community survey, not just transit riders. Now, their transit riders may be filling that out, but we're hoping also to get feedback from people who are not transit riders as well. But we also did an onboard survey on the fixed route network. We got about 2,400 responses. That's about 12% of riders on LTD. And so that's a good representative survey sample of people who are existing transit riders right now. So I just wanted to share a couple of kind of key findings from that. There's a lot of questions, but it was kind of an origin and destination survey. So it was, where did you start your trip? Where did you end your trip? Why are you taking this trip? How did you pay for this trip? A lot of different questions. We asked them this one, which was, about improvements to the system. So if you had a list of options, what would you prioritize in terms of improvement? And this really should be organized the other way, so it's at the top. But the highest percentage of responses here really related to frequency, both on the weekends, which is interesting to see. So there's a lot of passengers are saying bring back ridership or service levels on the weekends, as well as on weekdays. So that really stood out to us. Then the next sort of step down would be related to expanding service hours, and then some of the other improvements that these were sort of a list of items that they could choose from. The other thing that we thought was interesting was just, and this is not that different from 2019, by the way, is the number of buses that people need to complete their trip. So right now, or 2023, about 55% of people are using just one bus to complete their trip, which means that almost half of people are transferring. And so it really helps us understand the importance of the transfers at Eugene Station, Springfield Station primarily. But we can also look at this in different ways. And the 1 to 3 days, 4 to 6 days, and 7 days is how often people use transit. So we can look at it in different ways, but that's important to note that transfers are really critical. And then just, that most trips are either work-based or school-based. And so this is not that different from 2019, but it's kind of a good opportunity to check in with riders. So we did this onboard survey. We got 2,400 responses. So where we're at right now, we're really in this phase of completing the existing conditions work that we've done so far. I showed you just a few samples of some of the detail. Again, we've got a lot more detail in that report. We are doing community outreach right now, again, kind of through this month. And then we'll move into the next phase of the project, which will be developing some service options and alternatives. And we will come back to the TPC and at the end of this month, and we'll have some concepts to start to present to you and to get some of your feedback from the TPC. And then we'll go through another round of community outreach, and then sometime in the summer, we will have sort of a list of service improvements and recommendations. So help us get the word out. This is kind of how you can help, and you all have really strong networks, so we appreciate the getting the survey out as much as possible. And so this is the link to our to the website itself, and then this is the survey. We also have an email set up if you have just general comments, or this is also for the public. So with that, I think that concludes our presentation. We're happy to take any questions that you might have.
All right, Paul, super job. Thank you. I just real quickly, those are some of the best graphics I've seen since I've been in office. I don't know who's doing them, but you better keep that person on staff. Thank you very much. Those were really clear.
Thank you. Yeah, we do have a graphic designer that helps us, I will admit.
It definitely shows, my friend. Good work. Councilor Mo, you got a question?
Okay, I bring this up all the time. This is the elephant in the room with transportation. I'm a pro-union man. I'm pro-organized labor. We need to pay our bus drivers more. We need money to hire more bus drivers, and all these problems will go away. How do we do that? Thank you.
Our HR team has been working diligently to get more drivers in the seat. So we're kind of revamping some of the ways that we hire folks. We're looking at schedules, how we train folks, and how we can do more classes and get more people in the seats. So it is something that's on our radar. We are well aware, and we're doing a lot of work to get that done.
Thanks.
Any other comments out there from anyone? Any questions? Yeah, Jameson, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Good. How are you doing, sir? Hey, I appreciate Councilor Mo's comments. We signed a new labor agreement about this time last year, so our operators are at market and above. We think the challenge is something bigger than that. You come into public transportation. We are a labor environment, so we do have seniority. So work schedules, you have to work your way up to work schedules and some other things. So we're working on that messaging. Our entire organization is focused on not just recruitment, but also on retention, because we want to make sure we're keeping all the good people that we have as we attract more as well. So I just wanted to point that out. We have a good labor agreement right now. It's a 4-year deal. We're just coming up on year 1, and we're working with our public safety folks and IT folks next. But as far as operators, we're as competitive as you get in terms of wages and benefits.
Awesome. Great comments. Thanks for bringing that in there, Jameson. Appreciate that. If anyone else has any questions, I've got a comment or two. Paul, just wanted to say, again, thanks for those graphics. And it looked to me like with those bar graphics that you had about people who are using the system less, just off the top of my head, it looked like you were about 20% down. Does that tend to ring true right now if we were to take a number out of the sky and assign it to this drop in ridership?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, I was going to say that's about right. Jeremy, you probably have a closer beat on that, but it's about 20% down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the route too. So overall system ridership, we're I want to say 70%. But some routes like the 17 is almost back up to normal. The 41 is really close. The MX is, it's gone up quite a bit. And over time, since COVID, every time we've done a bid change, we've seen a jump. So every time we do a new service, a new service level, our ridership is going back up. So it's incrementally jumping up every few months, and it's staying pretty steady. We're not seeing those drops anymore. So it is increasing over time.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And that brings me to the second question I had because most of the survey people look like they wanted more frequency. And I think what that translates just from, I grew up on route number 51 as a kid, driving that all around, going to football practice and whatever I was doing at the time. But it seems to me like if we could get to where we want to go quicker, I think people would think that the frequency is not really the issue. It's like, if I'm going to go somewhere across town, I've got to plan an hour of my life to do that. Whereas someone who is able to ride an electric scooter and get on our bikes trail system could make it across town in 25 minutes if they wanted to, really. So I think that's kind of really for me where I would like to see some conversation around is, can we contract with Porsche and get faster buses or something cool like that? Or
I would say the biggest problem we have there is just congestion.
Yeah.
So getting more people on buses and out of their cars helps. looking at infrastructure projects along corridors to see if we can speed buses up is certainly a topic of discussion that we are always talking about.
Super, super. Fidel, one of my favorite people. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Just a really quick question. Just looking at the data and so forth, is there any indications that the service is kind of gravitating somewhere else within the metropolitan area? I mean, I know that generally, just looking at the graph, service is down kind of everywhere. But is there any indication where it's kind of moving elsewhere around this area here of some sort?
I think that's one of the things we're looking at. So through the existing conditions, Paul showed that map with the hexagons that displayed where ridership dropped. And I think the next step is to look at where, comparing 2019, what's the percentage of overall ridership that were in these areas and how has that changed? So doing that analysis, we may see that there are other areas that are recovering quicker, or there's new ridership patterns that have arisen. And that is part of this analysis. And part of that is also the surveys, the onboard survey, where more people are getting on at certain origins or destinations. Our system is pretty set. We have legacy routes that operate on routes because we can operate a bus on them. And we have a good sense of what those ridership generators are and where those high priority destinations are. And I don't think there will be much change to that, but there is going to be changes as far as, what time people are riding. Is the shift moving from mornings to afternoons? Are shift workers playing a role in some of the changes in ridership? So these are all questions that we're trying to answer with the data.
Thank you.
All right, is any other questions? I want to respect the time where we're approaching 1:05 to our 1:30 meeting's end. Does anyone else have any more comments? Or if not, let's move to the next item, which is an information item on the Electronic Transportation Improvement Plan program. And Paul, I would assume you have a speaker for that one as well. Would that be Dan?
Correct again, Chair. It is Dan Collister from Elcock.
Hey, Dan, you're up.
Thank you. So I'm Daniel Collister, Senior Planner at LCOG. This agenda item is to provide you with an update on the progress of the development of the MPO's online interactive transportation improvement program, what we're referring to as the ETIP. So this is an effort that's been supported by this body and funded with the MPO's discretionary surface transportation block grant funds. So all MPOs maintain a transportation improvement program, or TIP, sometimes called the MTIP or Metropolitan TIP, to distinguish it from the STIP or the statewide TIP, which the state DOT maintains. The TIP is a listing of federally funded or regionally significant transportation projects and programs that are going to be obligated or work begun over a short-term period of at least 4 years. Currently, the TIPs maintained by the MPOs throughout Oregon are in various formats. Many exist as just big, complicated Excel spreadsheets or access databases. They're published sporadically in a static format that can be difficult to search or to interpret. And they're not public friendly or smartphone compatible. Since 2017, the Central MPO has been working with ODOT and the MPOs in Salem and Portland to find a solution to this. So through an RFP process, we selected a vendor, and we've been working with Eco Interactive out of Sacramento to develop an online ETIP. After a couple of years of development work, ETIP is very near completion at this point. And I'll be sharing my screen here in just a little bit to show you that. The ETIP, this tool that we have, has two faces. One face is the credentialed staff portal, where staff manages the TIP project data. And there are a lot of data query tools, reporting features, a lot of automated things through this portal that simplify the day-to-day TIP management process, including amendment tracking, reporting on the obligation of funds, funding program reports, and summaries, other things like that that are really useful for staff, for project managers. The other face of the ETIP is the online public tool. And this is a more simplified public interface that presents the TIP project information from that same database, but in a much more user-friendly way. And that's what I'll be showing you today. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can you confirm that you're seeing that?
Got it.
Great, thank you. So again, this is not ready for public use. It's still under development, but I'm going to be showing you a test environment that has data from our previous TIP cycle, which is the 2021 to 2024, just so that you can get an idea how this tool will look, what it'll do, and how it will make our TIP data more accessible and more useful as a resource for the public. So what you're seeing now is the welcome page. This is completely customizable. Right now, it's just a logo and an introductory paragraph. I have those there as placeholders, but you can see the main menu options along the top bar here. And projects is maybe the page of most interest. This is where you're going to find the full list of projects. In the 2021 TIP, there were 124 projects. This is showing you the first 100 of those. I can have it show all 124. The list itself can be sorted by agency, by project type. So it's pretty handy that way and user-friendly. You can also sort by these fields above. So if I wanted to see all of the active transportation projects, there they are. If I wanted to see all of the active transportation projects where City of Eugene is the lead agency, there we go. You can click the advanced search button here, which will provide you with additional fields that you can query by fund source. So if you want to see which are the projects in the TIPs that are funded using the MPO's discretionary funds, for example, or STBG funds, or maybe FTA Section 5307 funds. You can sort that way pretty simply, or by year programmed. If you want to see which are the projects that have funds that will obligate in a particular year, say 2022 in this case. Again, we're using historic information, but now we're seeing we've winnowed this list down to active transportation projects. The lead agency is the City of Eugene, and we have funds to be obligated in 2022. We can let's go ahead and click one of these projects here. If you click on the project, you're taken to this overview screen. This window pops up and it shows you some summary details about the project. A little map shows the project extent. At the bottom, we can see the funding information. That's presented by a project phase, by funding source. You can see the funding timeline along the top here for the phases and the totals along the bottom. You see it also includes any funding information for the project prior to this TIP cycle. So the cycle is 21 through 2024, but in this case, there was a preliminary engineering phase prior to 2021. It shows you that funding information here. There's another tab. This is the fund overview. If I click the fund history, it would show you how that funding has changed over time. How the funding has been amended since this has not yet been used for tracking changes. We don't see any changes here right now, but they will be listed here and shown. There's a revision history. Again, that would show you any amendments or changes to this project over its life in the TIP. And almost all projects are amended at some point, maybe a dozen times throughout their life in some cases. This would list those revisions and when each of them were approved and what exactly they were. Again, this is a test environment. We have no revisions listed here for this particular project, except the initial addition of the project into the system, but they will be listed here. There's a share button. Clicking this copies a link to this window to my clipboard. I can post that or share it with people. Clicking that link would take them to this very window here, just as you see it. There's a, before I move on to the plan revisions, you can export this list anytime. This button's here, and it just downloads a spreadsheet. I don't know if you can see the spreadsheet as I open it now, but it's just going to list the same information in a spreadsheet format that is editable if I want to do some analysis. So the plan revisions tab, this would show all amendments, project changes in chronological order. This is for the whole tip. It's not for any specific project, but for the entire program. So the list will get pretty long over the 3-year cycle, but it is a record of the activity in the tip, presented in chronological order. There is a tab that is provided by default by the developers for projects by county. All of our projects are in Lane County, with very few exceptions. So this is a feature that's not of much value to our MPO. I've asked the developers to remove this. I will show you this interactive map. The interactive map tool provides a visualization of where projects are located. You can scroll, you can zoom. You'll notice that the project list updates to show only projects that are on the screen. I can click on a project. It gives me some information about what that project is. If I click view details, I'm taken to that same project summary window. You can filter the projects here, as on that earlier tab, by project type, funding source. You can turn these different types on or off. Clicking this takes you to that same summary screen. There is also these 2 additional layers if you want to see these projects in relation to city boundaries. So populate and the MPO boundary. We can also turn on the right. And as those boundaries change or update over time, we provide those to the developer and they upload those into the system so we can keep that up to date. There's just one last thing that I want to show you that there was a lot of effort put into making this something that has some utility when accessed by a tablet or smartphone. And these are 3 screenshots of the e-tip that I took from my phone. Just to give you an idea how it looks on a mobile device. It's not perfect. Even in landscape mode, the project titles are cut really short, for example, but I've definitely seen much worse, and all in all, I think the developers have done a good job considering the kind of information and the amount of information that is presented in the tip. So just in conclusion here, the Central Lane MPO, along with Salem and Portland MPOs, we're all anxious for this tool to be ready. We've been receiving trainings from Eco Interactive. We've done a lot of testing, been able to request a lot of changes and tweaks to this product. The barrier now is making sure that ODOT's system can communicate with the e-tip in a consistent, compatible, seamless, smooth way so that data can move from one system to the other without errors. And once that's in place and tested to our satisfaction, we'll be ready to utilize this for tip management and as a resource for the public. Hopefully that's not far away. But, thank you for your time. I'm happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Super, Dan. Thank you very much. Is there any questions out there for Dan? Dan, I think this is going to help the guy who keeps testing me wondering when his potholes are going to be filled on a street. I can refer him to the map and he can figure out that he may or may not be on the list. All right, Vidal, what you got? You're unmute, sir. There you go.
Sorry about that. That was a rookie mistake. Dan, great presentation. I actually like that system. It looks very well, and I like the interactive part of it too. That's it affords some, let's just say, better options than what we have right now with what we have, at least on the statewide system. So good job on that. Appreciate that.
Thanks. And I should mention ODOT has been a helpful and active participant in this process. They want this to work just as much as we do, and they recognize the benefit.
That's because Vidal runs the show. He's on our team. All All right, in the interest of time, let's move on. We've got 8F, a couple of follow-up next step items. And I think Vidal, you're on there for the ODOT update. You got anything?
Yeah, I'll be brief too, Chair. First and foremost, thank you all on the call here for the patience you've all had with us as a result of the storms that went through. The ice storms impacted both the metropolitan area very hard, as well as our rural neighborhoods. And I'm hearing estimates up to the tune of about $2.2 million in costs just in Lane County that we've suffered, if you will, in trying to respond to that. We're beyond the emergency phase of the work, and the emergency phase was basically remove everything from fog line to fog line. So all our roads should be open right now, but our crews are going into the next phase where they are actually starting to move stuff from the fog line throughout the right of way. Bigger areas along 126, just outside the metropolitan area, have been hit very hard, and consequently, our crews that typically work within the Eugene-Springfield area are actually supporting more rural areas because they've been hit very hard. So you're going to see over the next at least 4 weeks, 5 weeks possibly, that our response times to some of the calls, homeless camps, signs that may have need to be readjusted and so forth, maybe a little bit slow simply because we're trying to support those other crews in those outlying areas to be able to get everything cleared out through the right of way. Just a little heads up that construction season, we're in January going into February, and I know the winter is not over yet, but we're ramping up to get ready to start getting some construction work done. Some of our contractors kind of eager to start up. We have a couple of projects that have already gone through the bid phase or the letting bid phase, and contracts have been awarded. One project I do want to mention on the list that came up time and time again, actually two of them. One is the Fiona Drive project. Myself and the commissioners talked about that one at some time ago, about that one going out on the streets, and it should have a bid let of April of 2024, Fiona Drive project, which is to help make that intersection right there in front of the Lowe's more safer. And then I've also been getting quite a few comments about the Mill Street project. That's A Street to Centennial Boulevard here in Springfield. That project itself too, I think a lot of the comments have been coming around, is it still gonna go? Is it not gonna go? And I do recognize that this is a local project that we're working with the city of Springfield to try to get this on the ground. And from my estimates, at least talking with my staff and so forth, with the efforts that we're putting on it, we should be having that project go out to bid this year in June of 2024 to help get Mill Street to where it needs to be. One last comment I do want to say, and some of you may have heard it, the Biden-Harris administration announced a $4.9 billion funding transformational infrastructure project grant awards to several large, or let's just say mega projects throughout the country. And I'm happy to announce that the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project was awarded $600 million. This is up in the Portland area. $600 million to continue that project, or that infrastructure improvement project between Washington and Oregon. And again, that project there is to, obviously putting a new bridge that's critical over the Columbia. This is the I-5 portion. It's going to be having, at least to my understanding, the bus lanes, pedestrian walkways, bike lanes, light rail systems, et cetera, to promote, a sustainable transportation system, at least within that region. So wanted to give that news out to everyone here so that at least that you're aware of it if you haven't heard it yet. And that's my update for the day, Chair.
Super. Vidal, thank you so much. And we've got a tip update project changes on this board. I would assume, Paul, that's what you're going to give some voice to?
Chair, this is a standing item that's in every month for your information only. We really don't address it unless there are questions on any of the amendments.
Okay, fair enough. I see no questions or hand raised. Our next step is to the agenda building for the next meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 7th. It will be virtual as well. Look for the link that's sent by, tell me her name once more again, Paul.
Laura Campbell at LCOG.
Laura Campbell, thank you, because I missed that today. So Laura Campbell, look for that. Any other comments or questions before we adjourn? Seeing none, we got out of here 6 minutes early. So go make yourself great, be courageous, and be wise in your leadership. Thanks for coming. See you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone.